Welcome to Through the Wire.
Through the wire.
Free agency is all but over. I mean, we got a couple names here and there. We here, of course, to talk about it. How's everybody doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm actually doing great. My team has been making money moves. I'm ready for the season to start back up again. LeBron could take some more days off. We got help on the team. We looking good, baby. But how y'all feeling?
I'm
I'm
doing
feeling
good.
good, man.
I'm doing good. Now you asked me to pull this tweet up for you. All right. Is it for a reason? Am I doing it now?
We could do it. How you feeling, Mills? We
I'm
can
great.
ask both
I
of
just
y'all.
want, I want to see what this tweet is about.
Should we
I'm
just get to the
curious.
tweet?
Yeah.
All right, read the tweet, P.
Trippy Red really the most versatile artist right now. He asks in every genre.
Why is that tweet important, P?
Okay, so this is what it is, Mills. Mike saw this tweet from you while we was in the Xbox party, and he got offended because he say he know damn well you ain't listening to no damn Trippy Red to like or retweet this tweet. So
Can you
he
name
wanted to
just,
pose your question.
Can you name just 3 Trippy Red songs?
I don't have to because I know. I can just look at him and tell he's bad.
What? You can just look at somebody and tell he's like that.
I could just tell just from like I just know the style of music that he's in. I just know I wouldn't like it.
Now, what I would do to interject, I don't know if I'm as big of a fan as Mikey is of Trippy Red, but what I will say is Trippy Red ain't necessarily garbage.
No, I mean, like, I'm not the biggest fan of Trippy Red either, but like, it was a time I was like, damn, Trippy Red, when he was first coming out, he's like, damn, Trippy Red, decent. I was like, this is not something Mills gonna listen to. Like, and that's why I was just like, can you name me 3? Because there's definitely like songs that are just out there by Trippy
Red has
Red.
more than
He's
3
big
songs.
as hell. He's
Listen,
big as hell.
my uncle has his own barbershop. So one day I was chilling, and it was recent too, not like days recent, but like month or so. And a grown ass man, like an old ass man, walked in. It was like, that Trippy Red kid, he got some shit. He don't look he looked like those SoundCloud guys, but he got some good. Like he was asking the young people in there, like, can you put me on some Trippy Red? Because the shit I heard, I did not expect that from him. So that statement to you, I would pose the same thing to you, because I was surprised too about how much I like Trippy Red when I was listening to him. He puts out far too much music for me to keep up with him. He ain't good enough for me to check out everything as soon as he drops it. But I definitely got some Trippy Red shit on his phone. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I remember one time.
Songs. We was playing Trippy Red in your car, actually, when we used to all ride together to KB's apartment. We used to play Trippy Red songs on those rides.
I definitely had to. That was like probably one of the times that I was listening to that shit too. But I remember I seen a while ago, CJ had tweeted out, he is like Trippy Red the type of dude that make you feel like you can sing like no matter what. Because
he got melodies for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be catchy shit that you just gonna want to sing.
Like Pose. Pose is definitely a big song that we used to drive to when we used to go, like when we used to go to KB old apartment. That song was big around that time. KB didn't even know that song, and I know KB don't listen to no damn Trippy Red.
That's that song with Tekashi. Like that's one of like I think that was their first collab or whatever they did before like everything started going down. But good times though, good times.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember that song either.
I'm gonna need you to come. Next part, I'm gonna need just one Trippy Red song, bro.
No, it's not necessary. It's not necessary.
Something like that. And just
Hey, Derek, don't listen to Trippy Red, bro. You fine. Keep listening to Jeezy and Tupac and all those other cats. Forget Trippy Red.
No, I'm definitely not the advocate of telling you must listen to Trippy Red, but I'm definitely just like I don't know, hey, that motherfucker look like he's got that, because what artists look like they good? Drake look like he good?
No, motherfucker, you know he's good. You know in the package, you know he's good.
No, I'm just saying, when have you looked at an artist and said,
it's just a realm of music that Trippy Red is in. I just know I'm not really into that style of music, really.
I'm just judging on what you said. You said you looked at him and said he's trash. So what?
I understand what he's saying though. If I see somebody with face tats, colored hair, I'm immediately like, I understand what type of music you make.
Prejudice.
I mean, I think it's just making assumptions.
So
I mean,
if you're saying that you understand that, can you understand what I'm saying? When have you looked at an artist and said I need to check him out? Because if you look at an artist and you say you don't need to check, then that means you use the same mentality. Like there's no one.
I don't think it has to go both ways. Because the look of Trippy Red is so synonymous to SoundCloud rapper that like you can look at him and be like, oh, I know what type of music. Like they're like the genre of music that Derek likes. If it's just like pure rap, there's no face of that. There's not a look to that, but there's a look to SoundCloud rappers.
Well, Derek has not recent because I know the views on this guy has changed, but Derek listened to Tekashi. That's one of the faces of SoundCloud rapper imagery. He listened to him at the time where it was listenable to listen or acceptable to listen. Tekashi
You listen to
was listened to
Lil
by
Peep.
Derek.
What are
Lil
we
Peep
doing
got the
here?
same
Why the
shit.
hell are we talking about this right now? Why are we
Hey,
not
this
talking
is
about
part of the
free agency?
podcast, though. This is how it originally was supposed to be. We were supposed to talk about music and stuff like that. We just giving them a little taste of what it was going to be as well.
I don't know if we would be on House of Highlights.
Yeah,
if
I was
we
gonna
went
say,
that
I
route.
don't know.
Hey, listen, if y'all saw me, would y'all listen to me based on how I look? I got a jersey on, hat backwards, my watch a little shiny.
Your hair not
Yeah.
colored and you don't have face tats, so I'd give you a listen.
Now I spit some raw ass backpack shit, some shit that's gonna make you rewind. Like I say a line like this: "Leave them dead in the living room."
Come on, all
Get
right. All right, let's get to free agency, man. Because right after Saturday's show, we had two of the bigger signings go down. Just our luck, but we knew it was gonna happen. Fred VanVleet stays with the Toronto Raptors. I thought that was like not really that much of a possibility going into free agency, but he signed for 4 years, $85 million. So
The
he
Malcolm
gets his
Brogdon
bag.
deal.
Yep, he gets the Malcolm Brogdon deal, gets the bag, and I remember when he was on JJ Redick's pod, he didn't throw out the possibility of re-signing. He kind of was like, Kyle Lowry's 31, 32 years old, and eventually he's gonna start to take that turn, and then maybe I'm next in line. But he definitely talked like, hey, I'm gonna get myself a bag somewhere else, and I'm cool with that. I'm a proven winner. But he stays in Toronto.
Yeah, it was smart. That interview made me feel like he would leave, but it also made me feel like he would stay because he was saying like he wanted opportunity, he wanted his bag, but he also prioritized winning, and it was something he did his whole life from high school to college to even with the Raptors. So that as a Knicks fan made me say, cross him off our list because winning is gonna be some years, my guy. But I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. This is a guy we talking about bettering yourself. And this is the biggest contract that an undrafted player has ever gotten. So I think it's something to celebrate. We always have that. We've had that conversation a lot recently on here. The 4-year player and the look on the 4-year player. We've seen him get his bag. Javon just got the bag from Phoenix. So the 4-year guys are being celebrated, getting rewarded, and the narrative is probably going to start changing even more as the years go down the line. But I'm happy for Fred. I think we all are.
Yeah, I think it's like it's a win-win. He gets to be in a winning situation, get his bag. The Raptors get their shooting guard / PG next to Kyle Lowry. This is probably one of my favorite backcourts to watch when you talk about undersized guards that defensively they still get after it. And they usually when you see undersized guards, they're a team that's probably going to get torched, but they're still one of the best defenses in the league. They both handle the ball. They both get buckets, play make. This is one of my favorite backcourts to watch besides Dame and CJ and Steph.
Hey, I wish y'all could see, man. Goosebumps. This shit got me excited. I'm happy to be talking about this basketball shit when we like training camp start in a week or something, right?
Yeah.
This shit makes me back excited. Like we ain't just have a finals. You know what I'm saying?
They also signed Chris Boucher.
We're going to get to the Raptors. I want to hear what Mike thinks about the Fred VanVleet contract.
I mean, I thought it was cool. I'm super happy for him. I think it was a couple of days ago. Obviously, we know the Knicks had more money and everything, but and he wanted the long-term deal. But they were saying like the Raptors had enough money where they can kind of closely match it. Around that 5-year, like $120-130 million deal. Ends up getting a 4-year deal. I think that's going to just benefit him the most because this is probably the best place for him to stay in terms of winning. He's getting his money, and it's the place he's already been at.
Agreed. But the Raptors, not only did that happen, they lost their two bigs. Both of them were free agents. We had Serge Ibaka go to the Clips, and they have Marcus Gasol signing with the Lakers. So they are, on paper, a worse team today than they were last week. I mean, they did try to fill those holes with bringing in Aaron Baines. They re-signed Chris Boucher, but we know that those two big men were such a big part. Serge basically had a career year last year. Right? Yep. And in the regular season, Marcus Gasol was just knocking down every shot. Now, it didn't really translate to the bubble where he really struggled and everything, but they are worse today than they were a couple weeks ago. which is kind of interesting, man. I mean, and then you also think about Kyle Lowry, who is an older guard who knows if he's gonna come out and maybe take a small step back. So the contract is very interesting when you consider all those things.
Yeah, I mean, but you had to prioritize your guy, and
Yeah.
out of all those guys, you have to prioritize Fred VanVleet over Ibaka and then Marc Gasol. Because I feel like with Fred VanVleet, you're still at least really good. If you would have lost him, you probably would have been still looking at this team a little bit even different with them just having Ibaka or either just having Marc Gasol. Because I don't know if they were able to financially bring back Ibaka. I don't know what his price range was or with the Fred VanVleet contract they were able to pay him.
Right. Yeah, we're not cap experts, but I feel like maybe. I don't know.
I'm gonna give the Raptors the benefit of the doubt. I agree with D Mills. Definitely have to, and it's funny every time I agree with D Mills, they say I'm just agreeing with you. So I don't. But I'm gonna agree with him because you definitely had to prioritize Fred, and I feel like Aaron Baines is a good replacement to those bigs. I don't know if they would have found a good replacement for Fred had he left. I know they have some guys like Norman Powell, but a guy that can give you what Fred can give you, I don't know if it was out there. Baines can resemble some of Ibaka and Gasol. Obviously, it's going to be tough for him to replace two guys who have been there for a few years. But when you talk about, physicality, rebounding, defensive effort, shooting is there for the Aaron Baines shooting he shot it so well. I don't know if I'm going to categorize that as who he is, but he can shoot somewhat for a big man. They signed Alex Len. They brought back Boucher. This is what the Raptors do. Boucher, guys like that are going to have bigger roles. So based off the history of the Raptors, I'm not going to count them out yet because I'm going to expect somebody like Chris Boucher to spread his wings more and to be ready for this role because they didn't give him his role too early. I think the Raptors have such a good sense of timing. They know exactly when to expand your role and when you're ready to have a bigger impact, and hopefully they can do that. But as long as they're led by those guards, Lowry, Fred, they still have Pascal, Norman Powell is there. I want to see what they do with the Terrence Davis situation. There's speculation from Raptor fans that he may get waived or whatever. So then they signed Brimbury from the Hawks. I think that was a nice little pickup for them. They got Alex Len as well. So we'll see. We're going to talk about a team specifically later, I'm sure, but I don't feel as bad with the Raptors because it is one team. But we'll get to that.
The Boston Celtics. Let's talk about the Boston Celtics because they lose Gordon Hayward. First of all, shout out to Gordon Hayward and his agent for getting 4 years, $120 million.
The real winner of free agency.
For real. So do we want to talk about Gordon Hayward and the Hornets or the Boston Celtics first?
Let's talk about the Celtics because that is the team that I was talking about.
Okay.
I'm glad you knew.
So they lose Gordon Hayward. And all things you could say, the team looked good in the bubble when he was out, yada, yada, yada. They needed him when it really boiled down to things against the Miami Heat as a shot-creating guy, especially with Kemba Walker being out not out, but playing through those injuries and stuff. He was an important part. And Gordon Hayward, in the time he was there when he was healthy, because that's a big win, like if he can stay healthy, he was significant. You know what I'm saying? He came in, he defended very well. He defended fours very well. He hit his shots. He playmaked very well. He did all the things that they needed for him to do, and he just walks for nothing. I mean, the sign and trade thing is something we had heard for like a week and a half with the Indiana Pacers, but I had heard from Zach Lowe that the reason that trade didn't go through is because the Celtics didn't want Miles Turner anymore. They literally didn't want Miles Turner anymore. So they lose him for nothing. And now the narrative has changed a little bit about Danny Ainge, and he's lost another max player with like Kyrie Irving, I guess Al Horford, but I don't know if we really want to count Al Horford like that. But they've lost another max player.
To me, and I know Celtic fans are a little sensitive or whatever, but to me, they're one of the biggest losers of free agency because you lose Gordon Hayward, who for their team isn't as valuable on the as a quick look because you say, Tatum or Brown, but to every point KB just mentioned, there was value for Gordon Hayward, which is why they were going to be also willing to give him $100 million contract too. that report came out as well. The Hornets weren't the only team that was going to give him $100 million.
Yeah,
The
they
Celtics
said
were
like 110. So it wasn't even that. It wasn't really that much of an overpay for the Hornets, considering what he could have got somewhere else and was going to
right.
get.
So I think that's important to note. But that's why they're one of the biggest losers, because you end up with Tristan Thompson, who is cool, but he's no Miles Turner. And I feel like that center position was the biggest thing for them. We talked about for weeks them putting all of their picks together, and maybe moving up and doing some type of trade with Atlanta to where they could have got a Kongwu as their big man. Well, the Indiana Pacers deal was out there for them to get Miles Turner. I even heard a report that they wanted Miles Turner and TJ Warren or Victor Oladipo. Like, they were getting too greedy. KB is saying they didn't want him anymore. So I'm confused. And then a lot of Celtic fans are also frustrated because they were trying to move Kemba. So you gave Kemba all of that money, and now you're just trying to turn around and kind of give him away, and there wasn't nothing really there. And you could have kind of maybe not given him that money and let Marcus Smart kind of be your point guard and just roll with things. So I feel like they're in a position to where they didn't get better. You lose Gordon Hayward, so now you're a bit worse. You got Tristan Thompson, sure, but Tristan Thompson isn't a game-changing center in my eyes. He'll make them somewhat better in the front court, more depth. And then the draft picks that you drafted, like, they barely are going to make the roster because you don't have enough roster spots, and you didn't trade those. So for me, they had so many avenues to get better, and they didn't really do that. I mean, they paid Jason Tatum, which is cool, but as far as getting better, this team was a team that has championship aspirations, and I don't think they got any closer. The Nets are coming, and the East is getting the Bucks got significantly better. My bad, Mike. You can go.
No, I'm with everything you said, and KB as well. Just the importance of Gordon Hayward, and we didn't even mention like the Miami Heat. They ran zone for a lot of their defense, and he was somebody that can, like you said, he could play back out of there. He could hit the mid-range shots. He was just like a Swiss Army knife for them. And even at the end of the day, he was just better than having a Grant Williams in the game, to close it out. But to just say that they didn't want Miles Turner, when Miles Turner is somebody that, everybody in like the basketball, like Twitter, wherever, people are saying Miles Turner is like a perfect fit for the Boston Celtics, right? He's a dude that don't got to do shit on offense, but sit in the corner and space the floor and let everybody else work. And then they just kind of say, we don't want him. And they end up picking up Tristan Thompson, who, to be honest, Tristan Thompson might be one of those dudes that don't even close out a damn game for them. Some shit like that could happen for them. So I think that losing out on Gordon Hayward, just like period, was a big L. But the thing with the Celtics that just makes me mad is they never seem to just go all in. With everything they have, is always like, we got to hold some back. We got to make sure we still got some for the future. They got to go in. They got to go all in if they want to win some shit.
I love that, Mike. I love that.
They got to go all in.
I think it goes down to like Danny Ainge. He be just trying to finesse. Sometimes you could just make the deal that makes sense. You don't always have to finesse the other general manager. Like P said, if they wanted VO or TJ Warren in this deal, they may have been asking for a little bit too much for the Indiana Pacers for Gordon Hayward. So like, no, we're not going to do it. But when it comes to the Miles Turner thing, it wasn't more about Miles Turner the player. What Zach Lowe has said, it was Miles Turner the contract. I think it's $18 million, and they don't see that as a valuable contract for his production. Which it's kind of weird because I honestly feel like Miles Turner is one of those guys that once he flips teams, he'd be a lot better since he wouldn't have to share the front court with a guy like Sabonis, and he would literally be the perfect center for what they do. Yeah, like Tristan Thompson can't do the stuff that he does.
When a guy like Terry Rozier is making $19 million, it's hard to say that about Miles Turner.
I think it's relevant to like their other cap situations: Kemba max contract, Jaylen Brown, and then of course Jason Tatum. They have 3 other max players, so they would rather go cheap on the center position, and that's what Tristan Thompson end up being.
Yeah, going cheap means going home early. So,
yeah, what Gordon Hayward brings to the table when you're on a championship team like the Celtics, it shows much more than like when you see him go to Charlotte. You might not see that true value of him show in Charlotte as it would on the Celtics.
I love me some Gordon Hayward. But like, I'm wishing him luck. I've seen that contract. I'm like, damn, I hope that's not another Nicholas Batum contract for the years.
Yeah.
I don't think it'd be that.
Before we transition, I just want to say this. I think that the Boston Celtics are banking very heavily on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown taking another big leap. And it's possible because they are super young and everything. But if they don't take a leap, if they are the same players they were last year, that's still like all-star quality players, then they'll probably be in the same position where they're good enough to make the conference finals, but probably not good enough to win it all.
I want to call something. I'm going to call this. And what day is this? This is November 24th. It's a good point you just made, Contrail. And this is why this point is significant. What's going to end up happening, and I hope it doesn't happen. I'm not a Celtic fan, but I really like this guy. Is the guy who's the heart and soul of that team is going to be the odd man out because they're going to have to make a move. This Tristan Thompson thing is not going to make them a championship team. It's hard to ask Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum to take another step, even though they're more than capable. It's just hard to ask them of that already because they've been very, very good. And it's realistic to say that they could, but it's also realistic to say that they won't. So if they don't, and this team is what I think they'll be a solid team. This team is definitely not garbage or any means. Yeah. I just look at them as a champion because I know their fan base and their people look at them as a contender. They're going to have to trade Marcus Smart. They're not going to trade Jaylen Brown. They're not going to trade Jason Tatum. Don't know how much value Kemba Walker will have with those knees situation. Marcus Smart is probably going to be the guy that's going to have the value that they would have to end up trading for that big man down the line. That's just that's what I'm gonna call. Hopefully it doesn't have to happen because I think Marcus Smart is a Celtic lifer in my eyes, and I would like to see that for him. But if this team has to end up making a move because that center spot is still a big weakness, Marcus Smart is probably going to be the guy that they have to part with, unfortunately, because I just don't unless Danny Ainge is like, you know what, Jason Tatum is so good. Let's go try to get a star big man and part ways with Jaylen Brown. Marcus Smart is out because I don't know how much value Kemba will have with the knee. That's why they're trying to give him away. You know what I mean? So, and shout out to teams like the Bulls that was like, nah, we're not going to fuck up our shit for that.
My sources tell me that was cap. That was smoke and mirrors by the Celtics to try to raise his value. The Bulls did not have a conversation with the Boston Celtics about Kemba Walker.
That's good. And I don't know how smart it is by the Celtics, but that says a lot. If that's smoke to raise his value, that's tough, man. That's tough.
But let's talk about the flip side. So Gordon Hayward gets his money at the Charlotte Hornets, who had tried to sign him before his last contract with the Boston Celtics. I don't hate it, right? I think at the end of the day, this is going to be a very fun team. Me and P were talking about this right after it happened. They're like, I think that the Charlotte Hornets are going to be on national TV a decent amount with LaMelo Ball. I think everybody questions what LaMelo Ball really is, like the casual fan, because we weren't able to really watch him that much overseas. And they already had a solid roster. Like, if you remember our preseason, when we give our rankings for teams, we all had, like, the Charlotte Hornets way closer to the bottom than what they end up being. They surprised the league, and a lot of that had to do with Vontae playing very well. Terry Rozier maybe not being as selfish as we thought he was going to be. And PJ Washington came into it, and he was a very solid rookie. Now, you're throwing LaMelo Ball, you're throwing Gordon Hayward. This is okay. And, it is scary. Mike mentioned Nicholas Batum. You can mention Chandler Parsons. There's a lot of question marks about Gordon Hayward and his health, but this was a team that was projected to make to have so much money for next year's free agency, right? Where like it's the biggest free agent class of all time. Kawhi, Paul George, LeBron, so on and so forth. Ain't no way in hell they was gonna get one of those dudes to come to Charlotte. So they get one of the top free agents this year, a guy that they really like, and just takes a shot on him. Because we know when he was with the Celtics, again, he was very good. He's gonna have another elevated role. Now, the real thing is like the last maybe year and a half, 2 years of that contract is a bit scary because he is already 30-plus years old. But for now, the Charlotte Hornets got one of the sexiest jerseys this season. They're going to be on national TV, and it's going to be fun for Hornets fans. And at the end of the day, this should be a fun experiment.
I like it. And Mike is wearing their colors right now with that shirt.
Bro, I was about to say that was probably the first thing I thought about literally when he was talking about, their team, is that when they had LaMelo in them jerseys, I was like, I might have to tune in. Them bitches look sexy.
Bro,
I like it. LaMelo, Devontae Graham backcourt is going to be nice for scoring and playmaking. Like KB mentioned, PJ Washington is like the perfect pick and roll player for LaMelo. Miles Bridges, his athleticism on the open court with LaMelo being a willing passer, and then you have Gordon Hayward to be a kick out option, and just Gordon Hayward has always been a good ass basketball player, a guy that can shoot, put it on the floor good enough, and pass. That's everything you want in a wing these days, and he can do it. He shoots very well off the catch. He has a nice A couple dribble pull up, pick and roll game is solid. He's a very good Swiss Army knife type of scorer and player. So I think he's going to be good for that team in that locker room. And for that team, he's actually going to be a good little late game option for that team while LaMelo becomes who he becomes. But I will say this: as much as I like this team, and I like this experiment, and you know they were competitive. I think they were like the 10th seed out east, the Hornets. So with that team being the 10th seed, I think they could be a little bit even better this year. Not saying they'll be a playoff team, but they may be a better 10th seed. But if you gave him $120 million, you could have gave Christian Wood, who made 47, you could have gave him 55. Christian Wood on this team, like if Christian Wood was their center, PJ Washington is the 4, Miles Bridges is the 3, Devontae Graham and LaMelo is the backcourt, I like this team a little bit more better.
Are we sure they didn't try though? Because they might have tried, and Christian Wood was like,
I hope they try. It would make it would be so good to hear if they did try, because Christian Wood with that team, man, that's a sexy team. But I don't want to switch too much gears to change the topic from Gordon Hayward. But I like this team, to say the least. Yeah, me and KB talked about this team for a minute, and I hope that they are as exciting as me and KB made them out to be. Because if this team flop, I'm gonna feel shitty, you know. And it's not my team, but I have some expectations for this team.
They're gonna be solid, bro. Like I'm not saying solid like they're gonna make the playoffs.
Shout out to the Martin twins. I like them boys coming off that bench for them. Hopefully Malik Monk can revive.
Yeah, they're gonna have one of them years where you can probably look at it and be like, okay, I see where we're going with this, which I think is a good step in the right direction for their team. So,
yeah, I think regardless, I think they're going to be exciting.
I
Even like the Atlanta Hawks last year when they were bad, they were still very exciting to watch because you got the exciting play from Trae Young, Cam Reddish, you got all that. LaMelo, I think
you better start naming John Collins. Don't do that.
Yeah, he ain't played for 26 games, 25 games. That's why I ain't bring him up. When he played, he was exciting.
21 and 10, 40% from 3.
This is a team though. I was surprised they didn't make a move on like a big man like Tristan Thompson or something like that though. I feel like that's when they're gonna be like, you can actually look at them and be like, okay, they might do something when they had that one big man kind of respect.
What you mean? They got Cody Zeller.
Cody Zeller been cool.
And they brought back Bismack.
Bismack is back, yes sir.
Man.
They didn't have that man on the books for a minute.
No, they drafted a center. Did they get Daniel Arturo or something?
Did they?
They got Grant Riller too. Grant Riller is
I know Grant Riller. Daniel Arturo.
I don't know. They haven't updated their roster yet, so LaMelo's not on the roster on Basketball Reference or anything like that.
Y'all could talk. I'm looking at Hornet draft selections.
It should do, but this should
Burn and carry,
right? Okay. This team should, at the end of the day, be somewhat fun. I'm not saying that this is a great signing long term, but if their goal is to make the 8th seed, they made their team a little bit better to do that. I mean, it is the Charlotte Hornets at the end of the day. Making the 8th seed is usually their ceiling. They might hit it. They might hit it at the end of the day.
Yeah. I cannot wait to see LaMelo hoop, man.
The next thing we have is I want to talk about the Nuggets because they lose Jeremy Grant, which is I don't know if we mentioned this when we were talking about Jeremy Grant, but they offered Jeremy Grant the same amount of money that Detroit did, but he went to Detroit.
He wanted a bigger role. He said.
And then he wanted a bigger role, but like, do y'all think that of Jeremy Grant, that like he's gonna be putting the ball on the floor and creating and?
Listen, I'm not mad. I don't think of it like that, but I also didn't think Jeremy Grant would be Jeremy Grant right now either. So
right.
Jeremy Grant he's still very young. He was a one and done guy at Syracuse, if I'm not mistaken.
Do you want to hear this stat I'm looking at right now about Jeremy Grant?
Let me hear it.
6% of his overall points last season were unassisted. So like somebody set him up for all of his points last year.
Hey, guess who's gonna do that again? Killian Hayes.
Hey. But the Nuggets.
He was playing like a significant role. He seemed like his impact.
I don't think KB saying he not. It's just that like, will he be an all-star? Because that's what he's pushing for, right?
He wants to be one of the guys. Like when you talk about the Nuggets team, what was he like 4th, 5th on the pecking order? He wants to be number 1 or number 2, which is like who knows? Because he has got better every single year of his career. So maybe it's gonna happen, but like it is very, very weird.
I'm hoping for it. I love Jeremy Grant. I love players that can come out early and people say they don't see things, and it's like, well, of course you don't see certain things. He's young. Like I did a draft thing, and shout out to the guy. he wasn't saying nothing wrong, but he was saying like Patrick Williams, what does he do significant like as of right now? And it's like, well, you could say the same thing about Kawhi when he came into the league. What did Kawhi do at San Diego State that was just so nothing? They have to grow into the players that they are.
He averaged 9 rebounds a game in college. Kawhi did, which is.
I mean, he was board man though.
He was board man.
To say, what do board man do?
Board man get paid.
I mean, he's also a lot older than Patrick Williams too. Patrick Williams won that. Nuggets though. Nuggets.
So the Nuggets lose the Plumlee brother. They lose Jeremy Grant, so they have no choice but to bring
Both
back
went
Carl
to
Millsap.
Detroit. They must like each other.
They
Like
just saw a bag and they were like, you know what? We're good. 1 year, $10 million for Paul Millsap to come back. This team, another similar situation to the Celtics, where they're worse today than they were a couple weeks ago. And I don't know how much these two players matter in the grand scheme of things, but for a team that just made it to the conference finals, Jeremy Grant played a big part of that. Paul Millsap coming back was cool, but the Plumlee brother, he had his moments. I guess that's not too much of it. I think the Jeremy Grant
gave up the series, bro. You remember that 83?
Oh yeah.
Nah, but Jeremy Grant was like the ideal just because he was a defensive minded guy, next to Jokic and whatnot. But
I think a lot of it has to do with
the Clippers.
I think a lot of it has to do with like Michael Porter Jr. is not going to be that power forward for them, right? I think that's what they're hoping. Different roles, different players, but like he's going to get more minutes now that Jeremy Grant isn't there.
I think Jeremy Grant helped the development of Michael Porter Jr. though. For me, not the development, but for the team aspect, for those moments when Michael Porter Jr. wasn't ready to guard X, Y, and Z, you had Jeremy Grant there. That's gone now. Now Michael Porter Jr. This is what I wanted though. I wanted Michael Porter Jr. just be out there because the only way he's going to get better is if he plays. You know what I mean? You can't just bench him and say he's not ready. I think it's also fair to mention that they had guys missing that'll be back now, like Will Barton. I think that's the importance for them. The Monte Morris, Will Barton, Gary Harris, that's their best depth. Bo is probably going to have to play now. Probably going to have to play some minutes like Michael Porter Jr. And they're going to hope that Jamal Murray and Jokic elevates now and that those playoff moments wasn't just like flashes and are who they are. So it's going to be exciting. And I definitely think that they can be a team that, since they're so good and they're so deep, they can always make a move on the buyout market at the trade deadline to go get a piece for a significant weakness that they see they have. They also lost Torrey Craig to the Bucks.
Yes.
He kind of took that personal. So that's always fun to see when people don't understand.
Wait, what did he do?
He tweeted out like something like y'all can D-Mills and Mike can comment and I'll tell you what he tweeted. But he tweeted.
You also look at this team as being like a top 3 seed with them losing Grant.
Hey. I know of another team that might sneak into that top 3, bro. I don't want to say it because Derek might get a little wrecked, but like that Trailblazer team is looking nice, bro.
I know.
That's the conversation me and Derek had.
Yeah. Now me and him was talking about how Damian Lillard should really be in like MVP conversations, like legitimately this year, because this is like the best roster he's had around him. And with those bad rosters, he still averaged like 8 assists. So I could see Dame coming out and averaging like 10 assists.
Not to cut you off, but I do think we'll talk about Portland. They're going to come up.
They're the next team on the list, yeah.
The love, the Craig tweet says no love with the thing when he didn't get his deal or offer from him.
And where did he end up? I forget.
The Bucks.
Milwaukee.
Oh, that's a good pickup. That's a good
pickup.
Yeah. But I don't know if I'd go that far with the Trailblazers just yet. We'll see. Let's just switch to it. They bring back Carmelo Anthony. I didn't think they were going to do it because it looked like they had a lot of players in that.
Glad they did.
They did. And now they're looking at a team that has Robert Covington, Zach Collins, Derrick Jones Jr., Rodney Hood as like the guys that they either signed or extended this offseason. And like we just mentioned, this team is significantly better. This is the best roster that they put around Dame ever in his career. So now it's go time. They made it to the conference finals a couple of years ago, but now it's really, really go time. I don't know if I got them highest 3 seed like I just said, but like this is the best roster they've had.
I love how the GM of the Blazers came out and said that re-signing Melo was like the top priority, but it was like the last thing that they did.
What is it? Neil O'Shea, right? Neil O'Shea is the guy over there. You never know. They probably put it on the table. Melo was just chilling. He was like, it's here. I may just sign it a little bit later. They're not going to take it away.
True.
I like the same. I'm one of those guys who can see them being 3-4. I'll go out on a limb and say it. I mean, when you look at this team top to bottom, Me and Derek literally had that conversation. Were we on Xbox? But we had to be on
we
Xbox. This is without a doubt, no question, the best team Dame has ever had on paper. LaMarcus Aldridge might have been the best player he's played with. Those are some solid teams, but this team right here, when you talk about depth, Dame and CJ is your backcourt. Robert Covington is the 3-and-D guy that they've needed for so long and that they've been trying so desperately to get with the Ariza pickups and different things like that. Melo is probably going to start at the 4, I guess. That's why this team is so good. They have so many different looks, right? But you have Nurkic as your 5. Then off the bench, you have Rodney Hood. You have Gary Trent. You have Zach Collins. You have
maybe Anthony Simons decides to make some noise.
Little, I still think has some hope in him. This team is just deep as hell. And I feel like I'm still forgetting somebody. That's how
deep. Little came out and said recently that his goal next season is to become an elite defender. That's all he's going to focus on, is being a good.
That's smart. Yeah. Smart thing from a rookie to say, because you know what that's going to do? Give him time. That's going to give him playing time. But Gary Trent, you always say resurgence, but his emergence, really gives them even more. Let's talk about that. What's the starting lineup for y'all? At D-Mills, I'll start with you because you're the fan, obviously.
Pretty sure it's Dame, CJ. They're probably going to go Rodney Hood, Rocco, and Nurkic. Honestly.
I like Rocco at the 4. Not bad.
But that 4 position, it changes so often. Like sometimes it's Melo, sometimes it's Zach Collins. I think it depends on the matchup, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, the Blazers are always like just, besides last year, because it was a little bit of an anomaly, but the Blazers are always good during the regular season. So they're going to have a lot of time to just be like, okay, this group works well together. They're going to have time to figure all that stuff out, come playoff time.
Y'all don't have my bad, KB. Mm-hmm. This is the make or break year for y'all, coach. If this team don't hit a certain level, he kiss his ass back.
He's probably fired before All-Star break, honestly.
Damn.
Before All-Star break.
If they look really bad before All-Star break.
He's saying if they look bad. I understand that.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I think it's gonna be hard for them to look bad. What is it, like, not even in the playoff picture? Because
that would be bad.
Because I cannot see them not making the playoffs.
Yeah. Because, I mean, even with all the injuries, they end up making the playoffs this year. So, that would be really bad if they did it. Y'all didn't sign a backup center just yet, right? So, right now, Whiteside is still on the market. Y'all don't really have one. Unless you count Zach Collins, right, as a 4-5.
Well, no, he signed Harry Giles.
Harry Giles, right.
He's
young.
That's a backup.
That's a smart move from him. That's a good train to hop on from Sacramento to there. That's definitely smart for him.
Yeah.
Man, Harry Giles is that guy coming out of high school, man.
And then they got Enes Kanter. What do you mean?
Oh, Enes Kanter, right. So I knew I was forgetting something. So Enes Kanter. Yeah, right, okay.
I had forgot about him too.
Yeah, okay. Right, okay. So no, that team is 10 deep, which is great. At least 10 deep. That is very good for y'all. Next, the New York Knicks signed Nerlens Noel, and I think it's 1-5. I don't really know. It doesn't have the number here, but it was something along those lines.
1-5.
Is that good? I don't even know.
That's great. Okay. That's great to me. All those signings are great to me. Not one move that the Knicks have made has made me upset at all. Austin Rivers, 3 years,
that's a great
$10 million, and
great A signing.
Last 2 years aren't even guaranteed. That's a steal. I don't care what anybody's saying. That's a steal on Austin Rivers. Nerlens Noel 1 year, Alec Burks 1 year. The Ed Davis situation got us 3 second-round picks. Acquiring him,
that's a W.
Taking him away from the Jazz got us 1. Then trading him to wherever I forgot where we traded him.
It don't even matter.
Gave us 2. So just to deal with Ed Davis gave us 3. Like out of nothing. We got 3 second-round picks just existing.
Don't y'all have just so much money? Where do y'all gonna spend some of this money? Because you have to spend some of it, right? So far, you signed 2 players, both for $5 million, or 3 players. 2 $5 million contracts, and then
$20 million left to spend. They say so. I don't know. They're trying to figure.
Somebody's better get a 1 year big bag. Like, hey, come to New York for you.
Brought back Payton. And yeah, I mean that. That was my whole thing. Is I thought we could have been a little aggressive with some people, but that's also
y'all might have been.
We might have been, and that's my old Nick mentality, to think that we have to do something. I'm fine with it. According to our cap guy that I follow for the Knicks, he specifically follows the Knicks, we're fine. Like, our money is going to be there, and the deals that we did make don't affect 2021 because, like I said, the Rivers deal is non-guaranteed. So, according to him, everything is on par and everything is good. And I know Knicks fans just want us to do some shit so bad,
the pickups y'all had. I like the pickups, especially I told you as soon as you had that Austin Rivers, I know you happy as hell for getting your boy. And not even that, but like those are players that can not only just like help them now, but like those are Alec Burks and Austin Rivers. Those are teams that like contending teams might want them if they hooping, right? And they might not get a first overall pick back, but you can maybe get a young player in the second round or something like that for them. So
Alec Burks did with the Warriors. He went over there. He was hooping.
But that's exactly the plan for these guys. Like the high risk, low reward. If you have all of the opportunity to come to New York and hoop. Austin Rivers and Burks and Nerlens Noel are all going to get a chance to hoop. And there's nobody here stopping you from hooping. So Austin Rivers have the best first half of your career you ever had here. And we'll trade you like we did with Mook. But if these guys also come here and don't hoop enough to get their value super through the roof, guess what? Their ass is released at the end of the year and come off the books because they're 1-year deals. We good. I like it. My question is, I'm thirsty to see what happens with the point guard position because this is the last year for a lot of guys. Frank Ntilikina, Dennis Smith Jr., they have to do something this year or they're going to be out of the Knicks, number one. And number two, they might get out of the league. They'll have another opportunity for sure, but people are not going to look at them in any capacity. So I want to see those guys do something. Even if it ain't with the Knicks, get you some value so you can be traded to a Chicago Bull team. So you can be traded to a Clipper team. So you can be traded to somewhere because that's a lot of teams that'll take a risk on some guards, like Frank Ntilikina and Dennis Smith Jr.
Right. Donovan Mitchell got a max worth 163 and can make up to 195. That we saw 3 players getting max extensions: De'Aaron Fox, Donovan Mitchell, and we already mentioned Jason Tatum.
I'm glad this one guy ain't got a max yet because I'm hoping he get offended because we still got some money in New York.
Which one?
Brandon Ingram.
Brandon Ingram's still out there. It's facts.
It's kind of odd to see that the Pelicans have made all these moves and just haven't paid him.
Hey, maybe they don't think it's a fit. Yeah, maybe they don't.
Their guy.
Oh man, now that would be.
The Knicks are offer Brandon Ingram whatever he wants in 5 seconds.
That's why that cap is there. But they haven't even offered him an offer sheet, so nobody has, as far as we know. He's just sitting.
Because New York would, but it's like we just feel like they're automatically going to match it, but they're still not doing shit. So the Pelicans can play that game all they want, but the Knicks will swipe in a heartbeat. I'm telling you. I'm not going to get my hopes up, but the Pelicans can play that game if they want to.
Yeah, bro, we was talking about this earlier. Like, how do NBA players feel during free agency when you ain't got that call yet and you're just waiting all day? Bro, I wonder how Brandon Ingram feel because he know he finna get some money. Somebody gonna pay his ass a bag, so he just waiting on it.
He posted a picture and listened to a Jay-Z song yesterday. It said "Streets is watching." I feel like that was a little subliminal to the Pelicans. The streets is watching. What you gonna do? Everybody's seeing that you're taking a loan. Like, okay, Fox got his bag. Mitchell got his bag. Tatum, the streets is watching, and they wait. Like if you type in Brandon Ingram name on Twitter right now, everybody's gonna be like, "Yo, what's the hold up with Ingram? Like, what's going on? What's going on?" Because the streets is watching. It's head scratching, bro. What is there to think about with Brandon Ingram? You just give the man his money, right?
That's what you would think.
David Griffin over there tripping.
Yeah. I'm trying to think about what year is he in again? Is this year 5?
Only thing I can think of, they trying to do the same thing every other team trying to do, make that money so they can have it for Giannis next year.
Oh, they shouldn't be thinking about Giannis when they got Zion.
Yeah, they should just be prioritizing Brandon Ingram.
Boy, we building the wall against that team if they bring in Giannis.
It is 4th year, KB.
Okay. So they don't have to give him a max. They can throw him a qualifying, right?
I feel like somebody's gonna.
I wish I was a cap expert, man. I wish I was a cap expert.
A qualifying offer would be dumb because he
becomes unrestricted. Yeah, he becomes unrestricted.
So go ahead, do the qualifying offer. Cause we still got our money next year. Do the qualifying offer. Brandon Ingram, bro. I would give up R.J. Barrett and Mitchell Robinson right now for Brandon Ingram. Right now, give me Brandon Ingram. Clear the whole fucking team and give me Brandon Ingram. We're just going to next year with Brandon Ingram. And we'll just chill. We'll lose every game by letting him play 1 versus 5 for 48 minutes, and we'll just rebuild. That's how good he is. I don't understand what the Pelicans are thinking about. And you traded Anthony Davis for him. He's their best player. I don't care how Zion, you love Zion all you want. Brandon Ingram is your guy. That's your guy. Zion ain't hitting no step back game winner like Brandon Ingram did over Rudy Gobert. I'm telling you right now. That's your guy.
This is so weird. I'm going through the Pelicans Reddit account trying to see what fans are thinking about the fact that Brandon Ingram hasn't been signed. Everybody has the same opinion that like it should happen. Well, the top post this week says we should probably sign that Brandon Ingram guy, right? So they all waited like we are.
Before COVID, those Jazz versus Pelican games, at certain points in those games, it was like Brandon Ingram versus the entire Jazz team. He was literally getting the ball and scoring back and forth with the Jazz team, back and forth. One of those games they lost because he didn't get his foul call, and then the other one he hit that jump shot to win the game. But in those overtime games, go back and watch it. Anybody that ain't too sure on what we talking about with Ingram.
Wait, so I'm reading this. Hold on, before you go, Mike. I'm reading this. Is that somebody says it makes sense to sign him as late as possible because it still leaves us space to extend players we want to extend. And yesterday they extended Steven Adams, so they're just waiting to maximize their cap until the last possible minute.
No, but I know exactly what you're talking about. P&I. Those are the times where like Zion or Lonzo get aboard, and Lonzo wasn't even bringing the ball up. He was just giving it right to Brandon Ingram to bring up the court, and he was giving them buckets. And to go back on it, like that's why I was saying like I just got to go Brandon Ingram over a Ben Simmons just because it's special when you can find a guy that could do that and also just has like not only the talents to do it, but like the mentality to do it, the skills to do so. So it's just like he's a special player.
Yeah, give me BI over Tatum.
And they give him that qualifying hour. I wouldn't be surprised if Chicago threw him. Chicago could throw him the bag too.
It's gonna be a lot of teams throwing him. Any team that's gonna have the money, they throwing him bag.
Thank you, Kenny. Thank you, Kenny.
When can we do that?
What do you mean when?
When can we offer him a bag?
What do you mean?
You mean like now?
No, I'm talking about like they gave him the qualifying offer when he went through the season and unrestricted.
Oh, okay. Yeah, next year we would have the money. Okay, you're excellent.
Oh, Otto Porter off the books.
Yeah, Otto Porter off the books. Cristiano Felicio off the books.
But he ain't going no fucking Chicago. He ain't coming to New York. He like G Herbo. He figure out go to Chicago.
They do.
Yeah. But Patrick Williams will be an all-star by then, so we're fine.
True.
But he'll be a 4. You let sign and trade Lauri Markkanen and go his ass to the Pelicans. That's what they want, a shooting big next to Zion.
True.
Lauri Markkanen at the 5 gonna be something, boy.
Brandon Ingram went to the Bulls. I'll be a Bulls fan. No bullshit.
No, facts though. Like I might be.
Dang, y'all just hopping on this fictional bandwagon, huh?
Hell yeah, because if he can't to the Knicks, I know Mike gonna fuck with the Knicks.
He was looking pretty right in that New York Knicks jersey.
You saw that picture I put up?
Yeah, I ain't gonna comment on the AD ones I've seen though.
I don't want that shit. You can have him. He only good with LeBron, I heard.
But do we talk about Marc Gasol yet?
No,
not really.
Sure, we can talk about the Lakers for 2 minutes. Timer starts now, Mike. Go ahead.
Ain't really much to say, man. We've been doing our thing, getting all these players on minimum contracts. We got Marc Gasol, bro.
It's so funny that like you can your analysis on other teams can be so extensive, but whenever we talk about the Lakers, you just be like, "It is what it is. We just do this."
Bro, hey, if you would have told me that we would have had Gasol, Montrezl Harrell, Dennis Schroeder, and like all these teams, maybe I would not have believed you. Mm-hmm. Like that's how I gotta say Rob Pelinka has been doing this shit. Ain't nothing I can really talk about like bad about him. Like he been doing his thing.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Probably.
I want to talk. Oh my bad.
No, so you can go ahead.
I want to talk about another team that I think are losers.
Okay.
I thought Boston was a loser. Brandon Ingram highlights in the background just distracted me. The Los Angeles Clippers. Ibaka's a nice pickup.
Yep.
They picked up somebody else that I like too. Who else did they pick up?
Marcus Morris resigned, and then they picked up
Luke Kennard
in the trade.
Luke Kennard. Point guard position has always been pivotal. I never questioned they can score. They didn't need to get Luke Kennard. I never questioned their big man play. I think Zubac was always solid and decent. Him and Montrezl Harrell had a nice tandem. So but that's cool that they got Ibaka, who's a little bit better for them than Treyas, maybe a lot better. But the point guard position has always been the thing for them, and for them to not have addressed it at all, is kind of it's scary to see how much the Lakers have gotten better, and the Clippers are kind of just a tad bit better. You know what I mean?
And they were one of those teams that were looking at Rondo, but they lost him to the Hawks. And the Clippers are a team that's going to be competing too. So, they could have had that as leverage. But, yeah, they didn't even think about, really addressing that point guard situation outside of Rondo.
Everything else, like Augustine, gone. Rondo, gone. Schroeder, gone. Chris Paul, gone. So, I don't know where they can – Alfred Payton, gone. I don't know where they can really go. Talks with them and Terry Rozier with the Hornets has been happening, but who do they trade to acquire a $19 million Terry Rozier?
So here are the top point guards in the market left. Reggie Jackson, Langston Galloway just got a contract, so we scratch him off.
Yeah.
Sabaz Napier, Chris Chioza, Tyler Johnson, Evan Turner, Gary Payton II, Yogi Ferrell, Emmanuel Mudiay, and Brandon Knight. Those are the top point guards, and they're all ass.
Yeah, those are people like – even if they came in and they could put up some buckets or whatever.
Who's your guy? I hope y'all got out of that list. My bad, Mike, but I had to ask
Reggie Jackson.
I'll fuck around and go Tyler Johnson, bro. Reggie Jackson couldn't come back on my team if I was the Clippers. I'll go Tyler Johnson. Shabazz Napier maybe, but he can't guard nobody. He's small as hell. I give me Tyler Johnson, man. That list is crazy. I know Mike going Brandon Knight.
I honestly, I was going to. There's nobody that was like, okay, it's going to stick out because I mean, like some of those guys can get buckets, but there's people already that can get buckets on the Clippers. They need like a floor general type point guard, and nobody fit that mold.
The best one that obviously nobody fits that mold, but the best playmaker out of here is it Mudiay?
Yep.
It's probably Mudiay, but ew. We saw Mudiay had a career night last time we were in New York. That ain't happening normally.
And I'm thinking maybe you just add some shooting around them, but it's just the shooting guards or the shooting point guards didn't even have much size to them. Like Yogi Ferrell, he's small as hell, but he can shoot the pill, something like that. But
he can make that dog sneeze.
He can make that dog sneeze.
Yeah, bro. Evan Turner might be the best point guard out of that group.
No, for real though. But it's just you don't want his ass on that team. It's not a lot of teams that people probably want Evan Turner on.
Listen to that list. You better off just letting Paul George be like a Scottie Pippen point forward type role or some shit, because that's what I would do before I sign any of them dudes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like Paul George, Luke Kennard, Kawhi, Mook, and Zubac or Ibaka starts. That would be my lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is rough. There's not a lot of good free agents left on the board. We saw yesterday Boogie got another contract, which is great. Ended up in Houston, and their team is different, and I'm liking it.
I like their team too.
I'm liking their team with Christian Wood, with Boogie, and of course James Harden, hoping that they don't trade him away. That team is still a playoff team, 100%. If you got James Harden, you're gonna make the playoffs. But now Boogie and then Christian Wood, I don't know, man.
I like that team even if they trade James Harden, because in my mind, you trade him and you got to get back Spencer Carey.
Oh no, you're getting back Ben Simmons according to his sister.
Our troll game is so fucking weak. I'm mad at the game with Topic, bro. She does that a lot. I mean, no disrespect to her, because y'all know I rock with Ben, but she does that a lot. Sixer fans, I don't know why they fall for it all the time, but hey, if they did get back Ben Simmons, I like that team. But yeah, I like that team with Harden and Russ so far. Still got PJ Tucker. What happened with him? Because he was disgruntled about a contract and never got a new one. So is he still over there?
I don't know. Maybe he probably just seeing he don't got to play center like that no more. So he's like, okay.
But I also scratched my head because you got these moves, then you just gave away Covington. Imagine this team now and they still have Covington. Russ, Harden, Covington, Christian Wood, Boogie. You still got PJ Tucker, Eric Gordon, Daniel House. But no, you just gave him away to get Ariza. And Ariza don't even play for them no more. He went to OKC if I'm not mistaken. So I'm confused.
Yeah.
I like Christian Wood though, man. Christian Wood can hoop.
The Wizards GM just came out and said that John Wall never requested a trade.
Yeah.
Man, they need to get their stuff together.
I hate when the story has so many different parts.
Forget the story. I just need to see John Wall on the court, man. He doing.
After I seen John Wall, post Achilles, like just hooping in gyms against other NBA players, he was fucking them up. I know that ain't everything to take from it, you know, but he was fucking them up. Like he was explosive. Like all I know is his play is still going to be the same. You know, the whole Achilles thing, no fear there. Now, will he be elite? I don't know because the other guards have gotten better. I don't know how to pair him against them. But we can expect John Wall to be pushing the tempo, dunking, and doing all the John Wall things that he does because his explosiveness is still kind of there. So I will say that.
Yeah.
What about the Bulls? Garrett Temple?
I think we talked about that last episode.
Yeah,
We did.
Yeah, that happened last episode.
Yeah, man.
Great pickup. Great spin thing.
Who's some winners for y'all that we didn't mention? Phoenix has to be a big winner for me, man. They are stacking up that team to really compete and be good. They brought back Saric and Javon. They added Langston Galloway, Jay Crowder. That's a playoff team for sure in my eyes.
Did the Kings match that offer from the?
They have till tonight.
They have to tonight, so we'll talk about that on next episode. They have to wait till today. Tonight is the deadline, and we'll see.
What's y'all opinion on that? Should they?
No, I don't think they should. Unless they have a plan for Buddy Hield already laid out, I don't think they should match it. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money.
That was my thing. Do it if you're gonna trade Buddy, but if you plan on just keeping Buddy, don't do it because you drafted Halliburton, you would have a log jam there.
And not even just that. I'm thinking more about the money situation. You max out De'Aaron Fox. Buddy Hield is still making $20+ million. Then a $72 million from Bogdanovich. You're gonna have to pay Marvin Bagley in the next season or so. I don't know what his market looks like. Like you don't want to be hard capped on a team that can't make the damn playoffs.
But you'll be fine if you trade Buddy Hield and you
right. That's what I'm saying. Depending on Buddy Hield.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine being damn near in the luxury with a team that's crazy, bro. That's some team shit to do though.
Yeah, I think you guys said like if you trade him Buddy Hield, you got to make it. But it's just like I always think for the Kings. They're gonna have to spend money on their players because it's just nobody's gonna just sign there. You know, they're not gonna be a super interesting place for people to go.
Yeah, and they could be if all things fall right for them if they had good management. It's California at the end of the day. Sure, it may not be the most fun part of California, but the California weather, I take that over the snow we just got 100%.
De'Aaron Fox seems to be having a nice time there.
Yeah,
seems like everybody has a nice time in California.
Not Buddy Hield. He's it.
All right. Well, that's all we had today, y'all. We'll see what else happens over the next week. But like we mentioned earlier, training camp is starting very soon. I've been seeing a lot of
Thanksgiving. I hope everybody enjoyed their holiday.
Dang, just fuck what I was saying, huh? No, you're right. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And we'll be back on Saturday.
Hey, what's y'all favorite Thanksgiving food? Are y'all turkey guys? Turkey is dry.
Dressing.
Like candy yams is my favorite.
Candy. Okay.
I have candy yams throughout the year, so it's not really just like a thing.
Same. Candy yams are good though. I don't call them yams. I don't call them candy yams. I just call them yams. That's why I was just joking with Mike. But no, they are good. Macaroni. Nothing is better than macaroni. And all this broccoli and cheese casserole that my mom makes for me.
Nothing beat the dressing, man.
Dressing.
You talking about ranch dressing?
You like dressing?
You're not talking about like
you don't be dressing. So why you like dressing?
Cool, true. You do have no drip.
Must be talk about D Mills.
Yeah, with that Hornet Nation shirt on.
That 2015 ass shirt.
Hey,
yeah,
bro.
It's been through the ringer too.
Yeah, no.
Yellow part that started fading.
That's been through something, bro. Shout out to my homies at Easy Money, man. That's all I'm saying.
Shout out my homies in Orlando.
Okay.
Damn, not gonna shout out House of Highlights.
Shout out House of Highlights, the fam. OTO.
All right, bye.